to today's live webinar. This is Christy from Success, and this is our Agent Secrets live webinar series. We do this every couple of weeks. Today, we're going to be covering the topic of search engine optimization and search engine marketing. And if you have ever wondered how to get more traffic to your website, how to get more business online, how to really harness the power of Google and all of the tools and tricks that you can do within that ad platform, this is going to be a really good session for you because it is super, super important when it comes to planning out your digital marketing strategy. So we're going to be discussing topics like content. What are the best strategies for SEO? Is this something that you need to be spending time on? And then also the search engine marketing side. What are the best ways to be spending your dollars, your marketing spend, using a paid search method? And there's definitely a few ways to do that. Okay, so today, let's just go through some of the key topics that we're going to be covering. The fundamental differences between SEO and SEM. So again, that's search engine optimization and search engine marketing. When and why to use each method for maximum impact. Proven strategies to enhance your visibility, both organic and through paid search. And then real-world examples and case studies for actionable insights. Now, if you've been on these webinars before, then you're familiar with Success Website and what we do. If you have not, I will just give you a quick little summary. We've been helping real estate agents thrive, grow their business online for over 27 years now. And we started by working with Craig Proctor, Craig Proctor's coaching program. If you're familiar with Craig, he was former #1 agent, RE/MAX agent worldwide. And we built this whole system with him. You know, he was always such a big idea person when it came to marketing, right? He followed other businesses, he studied other types of marketers, and he really found ways to take those marketing strategies and apply them to his real estate business. And when he partnered up with Steve, who's in this photo here, the goal was to build a website that he could use to generate more leads for his business. He was already using a lot of phone calling and using a series of answering machines to generate leads. The next stage was to go online and to have a website. So we actually ran Google Ads for Craig and for many of his top coaches when Google just first got started. Now, if you've been in this business as long as I have, and this is kind of embarrassing, I'm really dating myself here, but I know some of you have. It started out as something called Overture. And this was the first search product that Google put out, which allowed businesses to essentially create campaigns using search keywords. And we started that with a small group of members. This was probably back in 2000, 2001, something like that. And the leads were incredible. I mean, we started seeing so many leads coming in from these search engines. Of course, Overture then turned into Google Ads. I think it was called AdWords at one point. Now it's Ads, and it's just been evolving ever since. So we really do have a long history with this and understanding how it works. We also see how quickly it changes and it shifts. Just like everything online, right? Just like everything within the real estate world as well, right? We know that you're constantly being faced with changes in the market. So some of the problems that we know that you face, and I know I've gone through this before, but I think it's always helpful to address. We know that you face intense competition. So being competitive online does require having a strategy that looks at how can I be found organically when people search for my name or they search for the top keywords that I want to be found for, and how do I get ahead of my competition? And it's possible. You just have to be very focused, very strategic in your approach. But it's also important to generate high quality leads. Now, when it comes to internet marketing and lead generation, it is a numbers game. You have to have a, a certain amount of volume to make it work. So getting one lead a month or getting one lead a week isn't really going to cut it, right? Because these are online leads. These are people usually in the very beginning stages of their home buying journey, and they are just starting to do their research, right? So you need to get a certain number of those leads to really get a return on your ad spend. But the good news about Google, especially the Google ads, is that you can get a very significant return on your ad spend. If you're spending $500 a month and you're able to generate 30, 40 leads within that month, and you're able to convert just one of those leads, think about what that return is. Think about the potential commission that you get on every transaction, right? Spending $500 a month to get one of those is a tremendous return on ad spend. So you got to think about these things when it comes to these types of strategies, because you do have to spend money in some cases. And we'll take a look at the different ways you can do that. And then another big problem that we are well aware of are the navigating all of the different shifts in technology. There's so many changes happening. Google, of course, is constantly changing and evolving. The way that the search engines rank websites, the way that you're found online, the way that sites look on your phone, right? On these devices, it's always, always changing. So you have to be willing to learn and adapt and pivot and adjust when necessary. But the first step is to really just understand the key core concepts and make sure you're really working towards a goal. So today, the goal essentially is to just have a better understanding of how to use this amazing marketing platform, which is Google, and how to also take advantage of some of that organic search traffic that that you want your website to be found for. So how do search engines rank your content? I like to use the library analogy here. I think it's a good way to explain how search engines essentially index, rank, and how your site can gain some traction on search engines. So the first step here is the crawling discovery. So if you can imagine the Google search network or just the World Wide Web just being this massive library, Google is scanning websites every millisecond of the day. So it's combing through web content, and it's looking at all different variables. Okay, it's looking at content, it's looking at speed, it's looking at, like, is the domain name verified? There's all sorts of variables that come into play there. So that's the first phase. The next is the indexing and the categorizing. So Google essentially, just like you do in a library, will sort and index websites based on the content. And it's definitely looking for relevancy. Okay, so the more relevant your website is, right, the more up to date it is, the more content that you have that relates to your business and your area and the business that you're in, the better. That's going to make it easier for Google to index your website and know exactly what category to file it under. And then the third phase is the ranking and the authority. So Google does decide which content it wants to feature. And there are a few variables at play there, which we're going to discuss. And there are definitely some things that you can do with your content and with your website to make it more likely that Google is going to feature that content or display it when somebody is searching for those relevant keywords. Let's start with a general strategy, okay, an SEO strategy. Because of course, you always need to look at these things from a strategic approach. Number one, does your content reflect the topics you want to be known for? You're in real estate, okay? Huge topic, highly searched topic. There's tons and tons of information out there on the web for real estate in your area. A really good practice is to go into Google and start searching for things that you want to be found for. See what your competition is doing, see how Google is sort of picking and choosing which sites to show. That's a great way to start your research. And then look at your website. Does your content reflect those topics that you want to be found for or known for? Number two, how effectively are you promoting that content and getting backlinks? A backlink is essentially when another website links to your content. So if you think about a news article that is talking about a restaurant or it's talking about a particular business, usually there's a link within that article that goes back to the company website or the original story or some content that it's referring to. So those types of backlinks are extremely helpful, and that's what helps you build authority within Google. Google looks at that traffic going to your site from other sites, and it will reward those websites that get that backlink traffic. Social media can provide backlinks, right? Of course, part of your strategy should always be to share your content on social media, share it on your LinkedIn profiles. But even better, if you can get another website that has some authority to link to your site, that's powerful. So keep in mind something like realtor.ca or realtor.com or Zillow, any one of those sites. Those would be what I consider a high authority website within Google. They get tons and tons of traffic. So when somebody is searching for real estate in your area and your name pops up within Zillow, let's say, for instance, you always want to make sure that those sites are linking back to your website. Or better yet, if you can find a local website that will perhaps allow you to do a guest post or write an article for them or contribute some content, then you can always link back to your site as part of that. So always look for ways to promote your own content on other websites to get those backlinks. Number three, and this is a harder one because it does require you to be pretty savvy in terms of reaching out to media and trying to get these news outlets to link to your website or to mention your organization, but that can be extremely powerful. Find, again, local news sites, something that is reputable, right? Something that you feel gets a lot of that local traffic that you're looking for, and reach out. They may have programs that offer like for a fee to link back to your website. So you should have like a spreadsheet almost with all these different sites and places where you could potentially have links going back to your website. And then number four, and this is something that you do have more control over and that your web provider can help you with, and that is your website optimized for SEO? Does it allow you to create this custom content? Does it allow you to verify your domain? And does it allow you to obviously add keyword content and metadata and titles and things like that that can certainly help get your website found more easily on Google. Content is a huge part of your SEO strategy. So creating quality content that your audience will love and read and share should be the goal. It's not easy to do. I know this. I mean, we try each and every day to create content that people are going to want to read and share. But you got to keep at it, right? It's not difficult to create content, but it is difficult sometimes to create the type of content that people really want to read and share. So you should always have a few little guidelines to follow when you're creating your content. And we're talking about blogs here, okay? So just to be clear, we are talking about blogging and using your website blog as a way to have that steady roll of content happening. So does your content have structure? Okay, structure meaning, is there an intro, middle, conclusion, end, right? Does it have a story? Is there a story in there that you think your audience would really benefit from and love to read? So things like maybe a case study or testimonial or story of something that's happened with you in your real estate business. I mean, right now there's so many changes happening right now. Obviously, the NAR settlement is probably top of mind, and the changes to the buyer representation, commissions, things like that. So those are the types of things that you should be trying to tap into, right? When we talk about using the news and the media as a way to share our content, think about what the news and the media would want to report on. Anything that is happening, changes in interest rates, new laws that have come into play, how this is changing the market. You, as the real estate expert, should be the one who is informing and educating your audience on these topics. So that is something that you should really be focused on when it comes to blogging and that creating stories and educational content that you think is going to fit what your audience is looking for. Within that content, there definitely should be relevant keywords. And when it comes to structuring your blog, having a headline that contains your main keywords, okay? We'll get into a little bit more of blogging and some best practices there, but a clear title is really, really important. The title of your blog is essentially what Google is going to be seeing first. So the title should be clear. 60 characters max is sort of the, well, it's the rule, not official, but that's what the guideline is, to keep it under 60 characters. But have that title be clear and have it contain the keywords. So for instance, if you're going to create content about interest rates falling, then you may want to have a title that says interest rates due to fall in 2025, or how falling interest rates will affect home buyers or buying a home. Just make sure that the title is very clear and that in an instant, someone will know exactly what that blog post is about. Now, as far as website content and IDX feeds, there's another element here that doesn't necessarily require you to do anything, and that is have your website connected to the MLS through an IDX feed. So if you're thinking about what search engines are indexing and trying to match the content with what people are searching for, a lot of people are just searching for real estate information. They're looking for homes for sale in a very specific area. They're looking homes for sale in a specific price range or a type of home. So having an IDX connected to your website is going to automatically create content for you that includes that information, includes those keywords, includes updated data, and also having your own listings on your website with the address, with the zip code, and that can be either active listings or sold listings. You should be able to create landing pages on your site that allow you to use the address in the title of the page. You should have the ability to add your sold listings to your website so that if anyone is searching for an address, they could potentially see that you had sold that property at one point. And also area-specific property hot lists. This is a big one because that's what people are searching for. So having all of those areas, those neighborhoods, those communities, having like pre-done lists of homes that fit that criteria is going to be very beneficial. That also ties into property types. New construction, homes with pools, homes with on acreage, homes on the water, lakefront homes, things like that. You should have property hot lists that are created with that criteria because that content is also going to help you get indexed and found online organically. So a use case that I want to share with all of you is one of our clients who's been with us for, I would say, easily over a decade. He is very prolific when it comes to blogging. His name's Brian Kondo, and he uses his blog each and every day, actually. He's got somebody that he's hired. He's got a VA who is blogging every single day on his website. And then he shares that information through social media, through his email. But you can see the topics here are things like how to get your home ready to sell in the fall in 2024, things to consider before becoming a real estate investor, what our clients had to say about working with Brian Kondo. That's the type of content that you can be creating each and every day, and these headlines are fairly clear, so it does definitely help Brian get more of that Google juice online. People are more likely to find his website. And then as far as the property hot lists go, this is just one example of many. He's got probably over 100 different unique property hot lists on his website. But here's one that's very specific: bungalows with a double garage. Okay, there's a target audience out there for that. Maybe they're people who don't want to have to deal with stairs. Maybe they are of an older demographic, right? They're just interested in a single story home, and they also want a 2-car garage. So you want to have a website that allows you to create those types of hot lists, which will essentially create that content for you online. And then, of course, have it be linked to from other websites, which is highly beneficial. So that is essentially just a little taste of what an SEO strategy looks like. Within an hour, we can only go through so much, but I know that for all of you, you may be doing this on your own. You may be thinking of hiring a company to do this for you. One thing I will say, and this is just a bit of a cautionary tale. I've worked with agents who have hired SEO companies to basically optimize their website for SEO and build an SEO strategy for them. And unfortunately, it hasn't worked out so well. And I think the main reason is because these SEO companies don't necessarily want to show you exactly where they're posting their links. And there's a lot of black hat type services out there that to me seem a little bit shady because they're not usually very forthcoming in their data and the information they're willing to provide their clients in terms of what they've actually been able to do for them. So for that reason, SEO can be a very tricky strategy. It's better to have someone on your team that is familiar with how to do it, or for you to just start with a very simple strategy, which I just gave you, and that is start building out some content, start a blog, make sure you got those property hot lists created, share some of that content online, maybe look for other websites that you can guest post on or that will be willing to send you some links, or sorry, willing to send some traffic to your website, things like that. Okay, so let's talk about SEM, search engine marketing. Also, Google is really the king here. Google brings in 6 times more traffic than Bing or Yahoo at this point. So we do focus primarily on Google when it comes to search engine marketing. And that's just part of their monopoly that they have on this business. But fortunately, they do have a pretty good, pretty robust ad platform. There's a lot you can do with it. Keyword research is really, really important when it comes to search engine marketing because we're paying for this traffic. SEO doesn't really require any cost to you. It's more sweat equity. It's more time that you need to put into your content and reaching out and trying to get things shared and things like that. Whereas search engine marketing is you give a certain amount to Google per day, and they will just send traffic to your website. And it happens almost immediately, which is great, right? A lot of you really don't want to wait for months or years to start generating real traffic to your website. You want it to happen right away. I agree. I totally agree. So having a search engine marketing setup requires a little bit of keyword research. And it doesn't have to be super complicated. It's really just taking some keyword phrases and thinking about who is going to be searching for these keywords and building some ad campaigns around those keywords. You know, Toronto real estate, or Toronto homes for sale, or Naples homes for sale, Colorado homes for sale, Denver homes for sale, things like that can be a good start. But we also see very specific keywords that are also handy for real estate, like homes for sale near me, best realtors in area. And those are the types of keywords that we want to make sure we are utilizing when we are putting together our search engine marketing strategy. They're going to be a combination also of branded and unbranded keywords. A lot of people ask, like, should I be using my name as a keyword, or should I use my competitor's name as a keyword, or should I use my my business name as a keyword? A lot of big businesses do that. They will essentially use their business names and a variety of business names sort of related to theirs in their keyword strategy because they want to make sure they show up at the top for those. I mean, they probably do show up organically, but there's also going to be other companies that show up above their site because they're paying for those keywords, right? So it's not a bad idea to have branded keywords in your lists, but the majority of them will probably be more non-branded style keywords, and that is like area real estate, home prices in an area, homes for pools in, new construction in, those types of keywords are what we would consider to be non-branded. Number 3, optimized direct response landing pages. This is super important. If you are directing traffic to your website, you have to pay very close attention to where the traffic is going, and make sure that it's set up for optimal lead gen, if that's your goal. Okay, I'm speaking from a very specific perspective where our goal or our mandate from our clients was always, I want leads, I need leads. So we paid very close attention to the landing pages because we wanted those pages to do the best possible job of capturing leads and generating leads. Sometimes that's not the goal. Sometimes the goal is just to get more exposure, more awareness, more traffic. That ultimately does happen. But if your goal is to generate leads and to get more lead submissions, that landing page should be set up in a certain way to optimize that, meaning the call to action is very clear. You're making a clear offer. You are stating what they will receive. You've got a form on that page, and people can submit their information. And it's very clear with that direct response look to it. So that is something that we provide to all of our clients, and we often customize them. And we've spent many, many years honing what those landing pages look like, especially when it comes to your mobile devices. A lot of your search traffic, in fact, we see probably over 80% of our search traffic coming from mobile devices. So if your page is not mobile friendly, forget about it. It's not, people are going to bounce. They're going to go there. They're going to see it. It's not going to load properly. They're not going to want to request anything, and they're going to leave. So you've just paid for a click that didn't result in a lead, right? And then the last one is also important, tracking your KPIs. So these are key performance indicators, and tracking is such a big, big part of this search engine marketing strategy, but it does require proper setup. You need to make sure that everything is set up within your account to essentially track the number of impressions, the number of clicks, number of leads, conversion rates, things like that. So that's what we call KPIs. Okay, so here's an example of a Google search results page. So this area here, okay, for instance, is what somebody types in. So cottage for sale in the Kawartha Lakes. And you'll see that this top result, okay, it says sponsored. So sponsored means this is a paid ad that is showing up in the Google display or search results page, as we call it. And sometimes this will appear differently. These ads are dynamic and they change depending on the device, depending on the keywords. So the way that the ad is displayed isn't always going to be 100% consistent. So here we have a whole variety of different types of ads on Google. I'll start here at the top left. This is a search ad, and this is for a very specific type of home. So a single story home for sale, going back to that idea of offering a hot list of something specific. We call them bungalows here in Canada. This probably sounds like a funny word to you in the States. I know it's single story, but it's basically a one level house, right? Which a certain type of buyer is looking for. This one here, bottom left, homes with pools. And you can sometimes offer a specific type of home, but also with a price range. And it's always a good idea to include the area. The area is probably one of the most important keywords that you have in your ad. And then the next would be the type of home and then a price point. This price point is what we also call the hook. And believe it or not, to get a home with a pool in this specific area under 1.4 million is a pretty good deal. So that is a hook that we're going to use to get more people to click on that ad and then request that hot list. Now, this ad here in the center is actually what we call a display ad. So there are two primary networks that we are working with in Google, and that is the search network and the display network. Now, the search network is only relying on keyword searches. If people are searching for your ad, they're likely to see it. The display network is allowing your ad to show on any website at any time, anywhere. It is not dependent on people searching for a specific keyword. So we often use the display network for branded style ads. And we can even create an audience that is based on people who've already visited your website or an existing client list. This is what we call retargeting or remarketing. And that is a great way to utilize the Google Display Network. It gives you that omnipresence. People start to see your ads everywhere. I'm sure you've experienced this. You go to somebody's website and now you've essentially been tagged and you're seeing their ads everywhere. That's what the display network does. YouTube. YouTube is part of the Google ad network as well. And you can advertise directly on YouTube, advertise your video content. That probably is more of a branded strategy as well. It's not necessarily a lead gen strategy. If your primary objective is lead generation, search network is the way to go by far. But generating the leads is sort of like the first step, right? That's just scratching the surface. You have to convert those leads. And if you were to post billboards and have your bus benches everywhere and have ads all over your city, people would think you were like the most successful realtor in town because obviously that would require a huge budget to be able to do that. Google allows you to do that for a very modest budget, right? You can be spending $5-10 a day on a display campaign and essentially showing your ads to anyone who's had any contact with your brand on all sorts of websites. So I love that, actually. I really like that part of the Google Display Network. I do think that it is a beneficial element here because it gives you a lot of exposure, it can generate a lot of traffic, and it doesn't cost a lot. The cost per click is very, very low. I won't get too deep into this. This is just a snapshot of what a Google ad account looks like. And I show you this because I don't want to make it sound like it's so complicated that you wouldn't be able to run an ad campaign on your own. But it is important to acknowledge that there's a lot here. Okay, there's a lot of different settings. There's a whole environment that you've got to navigate through and know where to find things. And just like every other platform out there, Google is constantly changing their menus, their layouts, their interface. It's ongoing. So you do want to make sure that you have someone on your team who's familiar with this, or you have somebody who you've hired to do this for you, because it really is probably more learning than what you necessarily need or want to do. But as you can see, the whole system is based on a very simple structure, which is if you look on the left here, you've got your campaign, you've got your ad group, and you've got your ads, right? So within your campaign, that's where you have your budget, that's where you have your targeting, you can target specific locations. And then within your ad groups, you can have different groups of keywords. So you can have a whole group that is dedicated towards sellers, and all of your seller keywords are in there. You could have an ad group that is completely focused on new construction or something like that, right? So you can have your keywords grouped into your ad groups. And then, of course, we have our ads. But one of the things that I often hear from people when they get started with Google Ads is, it's not working. It's not working. And my question is always, well, what is not working? We have to identify exactly where the problem is, because the problem could be that maybe the ad has been disapproved. There doesn't take much actually to get your ad disapproved within Google. Excessive capitalization. If you've got two capital letters beside each other, that can cause your ad to be disapproved. So if your ad isn't actually running, then of course it's not going to work, right? So that's the first thing to check is, has the ad been approved? Is it actually generating what this number represents here, which is impressions? So impressions will tell you how many times that ad has been shown within a certain time period. If it's showing, okay, then that's not the problem. Google is showing your ad. Maybe it's not getting clicks. And if the clicks aren't the problem, then we got to look at the landing page, right? We got to make sure that there are no issues with that landing page. That is maybe maybe the form's not working properly, or maybe the message does not match what the ad says. So those are all things that we have to take a look at. And it can break down any one of those steps, and you just need to have a trained eye to be able to pick up on where the issue is so we can fix it. Okay, now as far as the ad structure, I know that we've shown you some snapshots of ads and what they look like. You don't have to be a marketing whiz to create these ads. As you can see, it really is just a series of keywords and headlines. You do have a character limit for your headlines. You have 30 characters to work with for the short headlines, and then you have a more to work with for the longer style headlines. But we're not doing anything particularly fancy here. We're just trying to use those focused keywords and be very clear about what we are offering. But you do have to be careful about using, as I said, excessive capitalization. That's where you have a word that's all caps, like free, for instance, right? Quite often you see that and it's all caps. That will get disapproved. You can't have claims that seem like they are perhaps unrealistic or false advertising, things like that. You can't have certain topics in there that Google thinks are problematic. So there's just a few rules that you have to follow when you're creating the ads themselves, but they don't have to be particularly fancy, just clear on what you're offering. And as part of the Success platform, when we set up the ads for you, okay, so what we do is we first have a discussion with you and we talk about, okay, what is your key area? What is it you want to offer, right? Who are we targeting? Are we targeting buyers? Are we targeting move-up buyers? Are we targeting buyers who are perhaps empty nesters or downsizing? Are we targeting sellers who are looking for a home evaluation? So that is something we talk to you about. And then we build out the campaign for you using those keywords, using the platform to create some landing pages for you. And then we create the campaign. So the dashboard that we're looking at right now is essentially tracking the leads that are coming in from specific campaigns. And we don't stop there. We track the number of leads you're getting, but then we can also track the number of people who are replying to the automated messaging that we have going out. So when somebody comes in to the platform as a lead, we're sending out some communication via text message, ringless voicemail, email, and those who reply are going to also contribute to our tracking report. So these numbers here are actually engagement rates. They're not just conversion numbers. They're people who have actively come into the site as a lead and have engaged with your communication as well. And you can actually click on any one of these numbers and go right to those leads and focus on those ones. So that's the kind of KPI information that I like to focus on. You know, impressions and clicks are great, but what's going to get you on the phone or talking to more actual buyers and sellers? The people that you're having conversations with and that you're actually meeting with and getting to sign buyer representation agreements or getting their house as a listing, that is the true metric, right? That is really the core of what we're trying to track. And it's absolutely doable and realistic if you know the original source of the lead, right? If the tracking exists from the moment they click on the ad to the moment you meet with them and get them to sign and buy, help them buy or sell their home. Now, a couple questions that you'll want to ask, and this is more for those of you who may not have the Success website system. In order to implement these strategies and be successful when it comes to either search engine optimization or search engine marketing, ask your website provider or ask yourselves if your website and your CRM does the following. Do they provide digital marketing assistance? A lot of them do, and will help you set up some basic ads. Some will run ads for you. So they essentially will take your budget and then they'll say, okay, we're going to go generate leads for you. And you don't really have much say in what gets advertised or how it all works. So there's different degrees of what other platforms will do for you. But if you can find a provider that actually provides that assistance where they can set it up for you and have a proactive consultative arrangement, that can really help you implement a lot of these strategies, right? Does your website provider work with you to attract your ideal target audience? So are they going to sit down and ask, who do you want to target? What should we be offering? What is really selling in your marketplace? What represents a really exceptional home deal in your market? These are the types of questions they should be asking, because that's the information that should be used to build the campaign. Does your website provider provide you with tracking reports so you can measure your ROI? Do you get access to that information? Do you have the ability to follow up automatically? And can you tailor your follow-up campaigns based on the ad that they came in from? So when you generate leads from these specific campaigns, do you have the right type of follow-up that is going to address that particular need that that person has? So if you're advertising homes with pools and you're following up with just a general follow-up, that's not really specific to what your lead is looking for. So you want to have automated plans. That's really important, but make sure those plans are addressing and fulfilling the exact need that that lead had when they came in. Are you able to create custom landing pages? A lot of platforms do allow you to do this, and sometimes it's very easy to do, sometimes it's not so easy. Sometimes you're on your own, you got to create it yourself. Sometimes you got someone who can help you, but having the ability to create those custom pages, I think, is very, very important, and make sure that you can make adjustments. So if you're running a campaign, it's not working, you can go in, adjust the headline, maybe change up the copy on the page, change up the call to action, have that flexibility to modify those landing pages. And then finally, does your provider allow you to build those specific property hot lists? Almost all real estate websites these days are connected to the MLS, and that's pretty standard. But not all allow you to create those property hot lists. So with Success Website, we have a product called the HDX. That's our hot list delivery exchange system, and within that, we can create and be very specific in the types of hot lists that appear on your website. So does your website provider allow you to do that? Because that's the type of content that is going to help you with both strategies, your search engine optimization and your search engine marketing as well. Have a strategic approach, right? I always go back to this slide because I just want to remind everyone how important it is to have that strategic approach. So here at Success, what we like to do is we like to focus on attracting your ideal target audience. This isn't a spray and pray type of scenario, right? We want to be very targeted with our marketing. We want to make sure your ad dollars are being spent in the best possible way. But we also want to make sure that when those new leads come in, we are automatically following up and making sure those leads get the information that they requested. And it's not a one and done thing either. That follow-up is not meant to happen once. It's meant to go on for as long as it needs to until you are able to reach that person, until they basically buy or die, as they say in the investment world. But it's more about having a system that will immediately fulfill their request, but not give up after that, right? So have those property updates go out, have that ongoing follow-up go out, emails, text messages. It should go on. And also you should be proactive in trying to reach that person as well. Because the one who is able to be as consistent and persistent as possible is usually the one that wins the business. Look at your competitors and just know that 85, if not more, 90% of them probably are doing less than the minimum, right? So meaning they're not advertising online, they're not generating leads. And if they are generating leads, maybe they're calling them once, maybe they're sending them one email, and that's it, right? So if you can be consistent and persistent in your follow-up, you will absolutely win more business, more than your competitors are, because you're doing 85% more than they are when it comes to their follow-up. Okay, well, we are at the end of our time here, and I thank you all for joining. If you are with Success Website, you can certainly reach out to us through successwebcare.com. Don't be afraid to book a call with one of our representatives if you feel like you need a little tune-up. If you've got some questions, you can always reach out to us through our text support line. And then, of course, if you're not with us, I encourage you to go to successwebsite.com/management if you're interested in learning more about our management program. Or you can just go to contact us or the demo page if you want to book a free, no obligation required demo of our product and discuss how we can help you out. Thanks so much, everybody. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day, and we will be back with another Agent Secrets topic in a couple of weeks. Have a wonderful day.